Yeah.
Look, to be fair, most people don't know what the keyboard does in this game, so...
It's very random. Yeah, as you can see by the number of games as well, small spoiler, it went either game 9 or game 10. Fairly long set between these two. A very hard fought battle. And yeah, we're getting right into it with Genarog and DonCascone versus Cone and 10QuidShoes.
Yeah. And again, I am always very scared when I see Cone and 10QuidShoes together, just because they are going to throw out those swords pretty masterfully. Like, Cone is an expert at spacing in most situations. When in a double scenario, when you have a second Clarion as well, you can kind of afford to be a little bit more loose, I feel like. And
Yeah.
you're just going to put hitboxes everywhere, and it's going to be chaos.
Yeah, especially with that hit pause, it just gives you all the time in the world to react to things. And in particular, Karen's just got these really like hard-hitting moves on both sides. In particular, up tilt and down strong, that just completely catch anyone trying to come in on her or get away from her as well. Especially in down strong's case, just massive moves. But so far, Genarog and DonCascone are doing a really good job of dealing with it, as they both independently essentially take a stock each off of the Clarence.
I mean, here's the other thing as well, like, I do really like the Clarion's focus on actually getting the shield up, because it's going to be really annoying for Fleet to deal with. So it's going to just control the kills just that tad more, you know? Just a little bit more.
Yeah, just that bit more that they need. And Genarog and DonCascone are really big fans of this team, and I've said it a few times, that it's just Loxodon and Fleet are both fairly survivable characters for different reasons. Fleet takes a really long time to get back to stage, she can hover off stage for a really long amount of time, and then she's got these floaty aspects, so she's not the easiest to combo. Loxodon also floaty, but a big body, so he does get hit, but his recovery goes incredibly far. And then, even when hit, he won't die off of the same hits as the majority of characters when it comes to horizontal knockback because of his heavy nature. So, these two characters can kind of really handle themselves and won't give too much of an advantage to teams that are trying to pick apart each person one at a time. They can usually play together in very easy ways, but also play separately really strongly because they both have big disjoints. So overall, it's a very harmonious team of two characters you wouldn't usually see as the strongest at doubles.
Yeah, and I also feel like they really complete each other very well, just because having Fleet for that distance play that Loxodon might be lacking just a little bit more is really good. Just they're going to complement each other and cover each other pretty well overall.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But as it seems, we are looking at an equal amount of stocks so far, from what I can tell, yeah.
Yeah, the Cats have managed to take back the lead here pretty effectively so far, but it's not too much of a lead. At the moment, it's still 2 stocks, 1 stock, 2 stocks, 1 stock a piece, but it could really swing the way around. This is an important moment. The Fleet loses that second stock, and now we're down to 1 stock a piece for the blue team. The red team want to get rid of Loxodon as quickly as possible so they can start playing a 2v1.
Yeah, DonCascone trying to do some cheeky stuff here at the ledge, but unfortunately right now he's in a very disadvantageous position, which is going to be really hard to get back from. Fortunately, hits the ground here, but now we have Genarog in disadvantage himself. But woo, nice Obstrong here in order to, you know, as an off V tool, you know, it's a pretty good one to have overall. But so far, like, the Clarence are still putting down the law here.
Yeah, we had a
Nice
really
break, though.
unfortunate interaction just then. The F smash on the Loxodon got cancelled. It was Tipper. He should have died, and now he does die, but it does give him some time to cause some chaos, and he does. You get rid of 2 current stocks very quickly, and we're down to a 1v1 between Genarog, and I believe this is going to be Cone on this game.
Yeah, this might be honestly hard to tell when both players are using the same character, to be fair.
Yeah, Cone likes to use the base skin, but I think when he plays a double Clarion, he'll opt for this skin because it's a lot easier to tell apart.
Yeah, the thing is, Genarog right now is just really high on percentages, and I'm not too hopeful about his chances right now in getting back on track. A lot of down tilts though, still manages to avoid getting tippered for the most part. Like, it's just one hit at this point, just one hit would do the trick.
Yeah, but he's
Good
keeping
less
that
pressure,
out
though.
range really well. I don't think he has a jump. It's going to be really hard for Genarog.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, barely makes it back. I was about to say, with the mistake, I was a little bit afraid of it. But yeah, barely manages to make it back.
Ah, but there's an Aether. That's really nicely spaced. Yeah, just about slides into the Aether.
Finally, the tipper F tilt actually landing.
Yeah. Looked a bit scary for a second, honestly. There, Genarog did a really good job of kind of bringing it back in that game.
Yeah, honestly, it was close until the end, so you know it's always nice to see. It does mean that we're going to go straight on game 2 on the alternate Tempest Beach. So a little bit of space to work with here, which I feel could benefit the mixed fleet and Locks team for the most part. Going back to what we were saying about being very a very complementary team and just having quite a bit of range as well to themselves, just individually.
Yeah.
So.
The singles version of the stage is one of Lox's primary counter picks as well. Lox is love to take you here, and you should pretty much always ban it because that axe covers the entirety of the platforms, and the stage in general is a bit smaller. This stage is quite big, as you said, but that works in their favour, right? They've got so much space to work with. Got a lot of ways to set up the projectiles, but projectiles don't seem to matter in the face of 10QuidShoes S smashes that manage to send Fleet all the way off stage, but Genarog recovers and gets a reversal with the back end. Big hit for the blue team.
Yeah, and now we have kind of DonCascone kind of zoning at the top here, just trying to stall out as much as possible a potential kill, and maybe try to catch Cone unawares. But we still have, I believe it's Cone again, going for a double F strong on the ledge. And so far, I do like the attempts at stage control that DonCascone is putting down, but so far, like, stocks are still flying on the blue team.
Yeah, and DonCascone's doing a really good job of holding on to the stock as well. Nothing is quite getting rid of this elephant. As a result, he's just managing to stall out Cone even a little bit. Cone's not really being able to help 10QuidShoes with this 1v1. And now the blue team are working a bit more succinctly together. They get a little bit of pressure. They get 100% on each cap. And at that point, a fleet back air or a locked back air can spell certain death in that moment. So it's a very scary situation for the red team, who are just about making it to the ledge, putting on some ledge pressure, but an unfortunate F smash from Cone kills 10QuidShoes, not his target, but he finds a mark. And it's just chaos on the side of the ledge right now. A lot of stocks flying. We're with 3 stocks apiece on each team, and the percents are high for this fleet and this Claren. But Cone does not look scared. Cone is not fearful. Cone is fighting hard.
There's been a lot of swinging going on with those Claren swords. Like, unfortunately, Genarog is going to fall down from ledge here and lose a stock in the process, equalizing the stock count. But we're still in a pretty decent situation in terms of percentages. But now we're caught in the blender, like what I like to call the blender with the double Claren, which is like just nerves ahoy! Nerves ahoy all the time. And yeah.
Absolutely.
DonCascone back on that ledge. Has to make it back. But yeah, an F-throw, not gonna be quite enough to kill. Again, we are on a bigger stage, so even at 179, it's not gonna quite kill, especially from across the stage. Ooh, but nice catch with the up tilt though.
Yeah, great catch up of Genarog's get up attack, which just about managed to get rid of that Claren at 200%. The 10QuidShoes unfortunately does not get to live that long. He dies much earlier and leaves Cone all in his lonesome to face down this team. And this should be curtains most of the time. While Cone is a great fighter, and Claren is one of those better characters in 1v1s because she has that sword that can stun, and also those big hitboxes like down smash that cover both sides. It's still really rough. These are 2 characters that are no strangers to killing. These are 2 players that are going to be saving each other at every single point that they can. So Cone's not really going to get any cheesy kills either. And so overall, it could be a ticking time bomb. But so far, Cone's managed to keep percents even.
Yeah, he's managing to be pretty grounded for the most part. He's still stuck in mostly pincer maneuvers from the team. Just one attacking from one side and one from the other. But for the most part, he's still doing pretty well just conserving space for the most part. I think right now the idea would be to get rid of the locks as a priority. Just get rid of DonCascone. Because at this point, got the tech on the down air. I thought this was curtains for a minute.
He took both down airs.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Look at how still on the ground he is. Okay,
yeah.
Now that Genarog's back in the blast zone, unfortunately, that's going to be the back air covering that ledge. and DonCascone is going to secure the point for his team.
Yeah, 2 patches back, we got a big buff to move startups, and Locke's back air was one of the biggest victors of that, honestly. Now hitting very consistently, rising on those characters that are really quadrupedal, like such as Clarin, and that's a big hit to take that game home because it was looking scary. Clarin had put in such a massive effort, but I know the blue team at this point are breathing very easy, knowing that they've managed to get a game that should be certainly theirs.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about breathing easy, but they're caught once again in the blender of nairs, for the most part. That is always the most difficult part, is just getting pincered between the 2 Clarins. Just doing nairs, and doing more nairs. Like, how do you get out of there?
You just keep on letting that Beyblade rip, man. It's looking really rough in terms of sense. And this is pretty precarious for both Locks and Flea at this point. This is the times where you die in Rock Wall with those closer side blast zones are not going to help that one bit. Genarog losing the first stock of this game, and DonCascone looking like he might follow because there is not much damage in this Karen. Code's looking a little bit rough at this point, but 10QuidShoes is very healthy.
Yeah.
Ooh, lovely.
Was that nair killing? Things we don't see in really, honestly. Yeah. Not sure. Anyways, this does give a little bit of momentum back to the red team.
Oh no.
Again we've done theirs. Like, what else do you want me to say at this point? Again we've done theirs. We're also going to try and cover as much space as possible with the down strong. But yeah, the strategy is still very much in there on the red team. Meanwhile, blue team consistently has someone caught in this blender. And now that DonCascone has caught Genarog unaware with the grab, unfortunately that's going to give more than enough opportunities to the red team to finish it off, unless we are getting team kills everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, the blue team is struggling right now, man. They're kind of keeping them like trapped under these rock wall platforms, and there's just no space to work with whatsoever. And when there's no space to work with, yeah, Lox is strong, but so's Clarin. She gets a sword that covers every single hitbox, and when you're pincered, like you've mentioned, between those 2 swords, it's so difficult to escape and not just take heaps on heaps of damage.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that I believe this might be one of the smallest stages in doubles, just overall. Don't quote me on that, honestly. But yeah, this might actually be one of the smallest stages in doubles, with obviously some of the closest blast zones in the game as well. So yeah, that whole pincer maneuver with the nairs from the Clarin is just going to work really well overall.
Ooh, good team combo coming out though. Aether into down strong, takes a nice stock off of 10QuidShoes. His first stock actually, he has been holding onto that for dear life for ages now, I think. And yeah, that first stock being healthy earlier on has really paid off. God, what a lead on red team. We've got 1 stock apiece on blue team, a fresh stock on 10QuidShoes essentially, and a fresh stock on Cone. Genarog was going for a bit of an early edge guard, but you can't go too ham on it, man, because eventually you're going to get caught off guard by the Clarins, who seal up that game very, very convincing.
Yeah, a very commanding game free, honestly, from the red team. 10QuidShoes and Cone just doing the works over here, and just being absolute menaces. The Rockwell pick working really well. We are going to go to Forest Understory for the next game. Again, trying to get a little bit more space on the blue team.
Yeah, I like the Forest pick in terms of the space, like you mentioned, but blast zones I'm not too sure. Pretty much every single one of those Karen kills that game was off the top. And that's not what this, sorry, off the sides, and that's what this stage is known for in particular. Killing off the side is so early on a kill in Forest, with the way that the platform's like angled just towards the sides and also just a very close side blast zone. So it's a little bit scary, but so far Genarog and DonCascone are making great use of that space.
It always comes back to this, because you also have to remember DSR is on for those tournaments, for the most part. So they can't just go back to Tempest. Never get that space. They have to find more creative ways to actually make it work. And I feel like for the most part what was really getting them caught was, again, the double blender of the nairs, where they couldn't really escape from any of it. So I do like the pick overall, just going for the more of on the less busy stages, quote unquote.
Yeah, we're still seeing some double nair action, like you mentioned. from the Clarence at this point, and because it feels like DonCascone is still getting caught, and Genarog's having a really hard time interrupting it. It's perhaps Fleet's slightly stubbier range than Claren, not being able to find those back airs, but as a result, DonCascone has dropped another stock already down on his lash, and things look a little bit rough. Genarog only down to a second, very fresh, but it is the Loxodon getting bullied here, and it's what you'd expect, right? Heavies get kind of the snot being out of them in doubles, but just because they've got these massive hurt boxes and they just can't avoid everything. It's impossible. So you're actually very used to the smaller, lighter characters being the stock tanks because they get comboed less heavily and because they're taking less hits in general. That's what Genarog's trying to do, as he kind of is aiming to keep the blue team in this game, aiming to take the stock off of Cone. Great back air, that move killing so early on this stage. And again, he's just going to try and find something on 10Quid here, look for anything to try and even up the stocks and give DonCascone a little bit more leverage to let him do what he wants to.
Well, that's the thing as well. You were mentioning aiming, and that's definitely one of the challenges that is going to arise when you're playing Fleet in doubles. It's just how do you aim properly to actually interrupt your the opponent's offense on your teammate without hitting your teammate.
Yeah.
Because you still have to position yourself very well in order to throw out those projectiles, which can be a little bit on the slower side at times. So it can be kind of tough to just position yourself well and manage to interrupt the offense. But as we say that, we do have Genarog getting a one-stock lead over everybody right now. And just... we've got DonCascone returning the favor. Like, being in a very rough position in terms of disadvantage and still managing to take Cone's stock. And now we've got 10QuidShoes, who potentially could be in the pincer himself.
Yeah, he is. He's taking a big team combo here. Winding down, but DonCascone, let's make a full forward swung. And thankfully that down air finds its mark on 10Quid all the way down to the bottom bass zone. But that kind of looked like it was going to kill Fleet at -%. And I was getting a little bit scared for the blue team there.
Yeah, that was like, let her rip, just let her rip, I guess.
Worked out in the end though as we go to game 5, I believe, this first set. 2 games apiece for both teams. We go to Jules Vale, and I think they agree with you, Mateus, the red team, because this is arguably maybe the smallest stage you can have in doubles. Maybe it's Hodojo, but still, very little amount of space to work here. It's only really the platform that gives you any extra stage length, and so it seems like the red team are essentially trying to choke out the blue team slowly but surely and get their revenge for the winner's side, because this is the team that did send Cone and 10QuidShoes to losers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We are back with the claustrophobic stages. It's just very fun to see that dynamic between the blue team and the red team, the large stages versus the smaller stages. And just see what works for them for the most part in terms of the counter picks.
That's back air finding his mark, and everyone, but so does Claren down strong. He catches both the Loxodon and his teammate. Cone not quite respecting the length of Claren down strong despite being such an avid user of it. Unfortunate, but still, that is a little bit of a lead for the red team. They're getting a lot of percent on this elephant. Fleet is dying off on the bottom bass zone, so take just that little bit of extra to maybe bring this into set 2.
Yeah, just a little bit. We are back again with the Nair train for the most part from the Clarence. And I mean, if it works, don't fix it, you know, for the most part. We're going to go back though in a situation where we are going to maybe have some separate 1v1s. No, the back air from the Lux is going to just steal that stock from 10QuidShoes. But Genarog immediately losing the stock himself. DonCascone went deep on this one, and unfortunately it didn't work out.
Yeah,
like I thought one of the Clarence died, and it was DonCascone in the blast zone.
Nah, I think he just forgot to jump or something, or maybe he didn't have a jump, and as a result, that's a very costly SD. That is a very, very big stock lead for the red team, who are comfortable at this point. They're going to start looking for ways to piece apart these 2 characters one by one. The moment they get one stock, it should be curved. It should be really easy to just slowly but surely whittle down that last person. And so here they are, they're aiming just to get as much percent as possible and then find some easy kills. On Fleet, especially, we saw enough hair killing at like 80 off the top because of her floaty nature, having less gravity, and so there is just plethora of ways to get the job done here at this point, and it feels like it is all but a certainty that we'll be going into set 2.
I will say DonCascone has been doing a great job trying to parry everything that has been coming his way, and we do forget it a lot, but parry is a really good tool to have in doubles, thanks to the invincibility frames, just giving you a little bit of a breather from the chaos and just allowing yourself to wallow in it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. That's going to be the stock on DonCascone. Genarog not too far from actually following in his tracks, and yeah, that's gonna be just throw into up strong, and 10QuidShoes and Cone are going to reset the bracket. We are going to go back to 0-0, like 0-0 apiece.
Yeah. Though importantly, because of that, we do reset stage picks. So it looks like we're going straight to Merchant Boy again, that starter, probably from the blue team, who are, like you said, wanting those bigger stages, and they can go back now even though they won on this. This is the nice thing about the reset. You don't have to worry anymore about your options being shut off in terms of your picks, and so you can make the most of these big stages that got you those games and start running that game plan again. Even though that game looked like a bit of a blowout, they brought it back a lot by the end of it, and they're clearly not out of steam. So let's see if they can cook something up here.
I mean, as we speak, however, DonCascone is already on 100%. Like, again, getting caught in every single sword swing that is coming his way. That's going to also be an early stock for Locks. And now Genarog has to deal with the pressure himself. Like, this is really... We're going a little bit more surgical on that one. We're just making sure to take the stocks in order on the red team side. But this is also, once again, one of these situations where a random back air from Locks or a random forward air could spell doom to both of them if they are just a little bit too close from each other.
Right now the Clarence are doing a good job of sectioning off the team. They're just bullying them on each side of the stage. Genarog comes to help out his friend, and it pays off. Great follow-up from DonCascone. Manages to relieve this first current stock, but an immediate answer back, and a 97% kill on Loxodon. I know Merchant Port's got a low ceiling. I know those platforms, you can use them to get some really early stocks, but that is rough for the blue team. But they get answer straight back. Big stock, finally the first one off of 10QuidShoes, and while there are a whole stock deficit, there's still work to be done here. It's still fairly fresh. They can cook up something as long as they start maybe working a bit more together, because I feel like these Clarens just have a bit more of a clearer game plan right now.
Yeah, it does feel like it. I will say as well that the percentage is once again building up really fast on DonCascone. Genarog's really... It's not being challenged too much for the most part. But I do feel like the red team has identified the DonCascone as the main threat in this team, really. Because it feels like Genarog is more there for support, and if the loss is gone, then the kills are not going to happen as easily, it feels like.
Oh, still, there's nothing support about those down questions and back airs. Genarog taking a stock to even up the stock count, even if the percents aren't too even. There is some white here for the blue team. It depends if Genarog can hold on to the stock and like not bleed as much of them as possible. Even if DonCascone loses the stock, he could steal something and they could still make something happen. But first they really need to get rid of this first cone stock. And unfortunately they can't do that in time. A devastating down strong coming out from one of the Clarence gets rid of that stock from Genarog, and now it's a matter of can DonCascone hold on. He's everything holding together this game right now for the blue team.
Massive down air! Just goes for the down air, honestly, that is huge! Because now we do have two characters at really high percent on the field on both teams. And any move is going to kill, obviously, DonCascone, but Cone's still in a really precarious situation, and just one, like maybe a Nair affair or something, could just take Cone away, and it really feels like 10QuidShoes really knows that right now, and is just going to keep fighting the 1v1 for the most part.
Yeah, this is the strat when you've got one person really low in a 2v1. There's an aggressor and a defender who's just there to team combo with you like that, looking for up airs, doesn't quite find anything, but yeah, 10Quid is always going to take the advance and always just try and either get the job done himself or set up something for Cone to follow off on, while Cone hangs back, makes sure to stay alive, because if he doesn't stay alive, they lose their one advantage and it becomes much more difficult. F-Tilt, not quite going to do it. That's great DI from Genarog, who gets sent barely anywhere, but now he has to find a way back on, and Fleet doesn't boast the best recovery, manages to find his way back on. Big Nair comes out, that's one stock apiece. Oh,
Yeah, but also he's still here to cover the deck.
Yeah.
And that's going to be first game going to 10QuidShoes and Cone. We're probably going to go back to a very large stage, if I had to guess.
Yes, I imagine so. It looks like Aetherian Forest, the doubles version. Yeah, this stage should give them a lot of space. And I remember saying that obviously Karen's not coming off the side, but so does the blue team. Honestly, they've got between Locks back air, Fleet back air, Fleet down.
Solid options.
Yeah, they've got plenty of options to do it themselves. So yeah, makes sense. It's a good pick. For sure.
It's just solid, honestly. Not much to say about it. It's just solid. I'm not too surprised. Maybe even maybe there was even a ban of Tempest for the red team.
Yeah,
Considering how things went last time on Tempest. But I do feel like Forest for the most part, just because the Corrosive Blast zones works out a little bit more in their favor if things happen there.
Early
scrambling though.
The stock, yeah, and the DonCascone doesn't quite trade for it, so that is a bit of a lead for the blue team. Up strong, not quite tipping either. Genarog gets to hang on by a hair's breadth, just about living. DonCascone as well being sent off stage, but he's only just surviving. The Clarence hard doing a lot of damage, but not taking any stocks. We're not seeing any blood being drawn just yet. And still, 10Quid also is on a 5%, and it could be dangerous here. Down strong does it, F-Tilt does it. We get two stocks, very quick succession, and the red team take just the briefest of leads, honestly, because instantly there is a Fleet back air in the face of 10Quid.
The thing is, Genarog is doing a great job right now covering DonCascone. For the most part, a lot of the difficult situations that DonCascone was getting at on this ledge were really well covered by Genarog for the most part. I really like their synergy right now. Unfortunately, it might not be quite enough, as we're going to throw F-Strong into fair on DonCascone's side. And again, the percentage is racking up at a rapid pace on the Lottodon, as Genarog is also not looking too hot himself, but manages to get a stock though off of Cone.
Yep. Great back airs, and back airs are the name of the game for the blue team right now. They keep on coming into it, they keep on finishing stocks with it overall, and it's just keeping them in it. This is why they picked Aetherian Forest. They're very confident in their methods of killing off the side, and it's working out really nicely so far. Great save on the fair as well. Genarog, a brilliant use of that move, but it doesn't keep DonCascone alive for too long, and Genarog might not be able to live long either. He's still stuck at the ledge. He can't help out his partner, who's getting bullied by these two fearsome swordsmen. Finally, he managed to take a little bit of a break, but then 10QuidShoes is just getting the job done on his own. DonCascone sitting at 65%, that's a lot of damage, and it's really scary on this side grass end as well, that he's all the way at the ledge. I don't know, Mateus, I'm getting scared.
A lot of fair pressure coming in right now from the Clarence, and yeah, Rock's looking a little bit like a football right now, just getting thrown left and right and center. But still, it is going to be first stock loss on the Clarence side. But now Genarog has to deal with once again the 1v2 situation with a 10QuidShoes who's looking really healthy right now. And Cone just in the background waiting for the call, you know, for the pass.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, 93%, you're not the aggressor. Your aggressor is the lower percent Karen, who's just going to slowly poke out this Fleet and get the job done. If he needs you, he'll pass the ball to you. But overall, this is just a one-man army right now from Cone. Gets an explosion on Fleet. That's a lot of percent. Nothing too bad, but still a lot of damage. Cone finally comes in, swinging in with a Nair to cover that high recovery from Genarog. And this is the crux of the situation. Every time Genarog gets a small victory, he's immediately going to get sent back. And it's just looking difficult for the Fleet main, man. And now he's pinched between the two, finds a back air, gets Cone off stage, gets him down in the bottom last zone, and gets the ledge hold. Okay, 1v1.
Yeah, massive down there here from the Fleet player. But right now, it's still looking like 10QuidShoes is leading the dance. unfortunately does not get the counter in time, and now we're back into those disadvantageous positions. Again, we're seeing both getting thrown off one after the other. It's like, you take a turn now, I take a turn now, you take a turn. Everyone taking turns here. Looking like a turn-based RPG.
Okay, but that covers the high recovery from Genarog. No one gets the ledge, but that's a Claren with no double jump. Has to go to wall here.
And the DI was so rough on that one as well. The DI was so rough, and that's going to allow Genarog to clutch out the point in this set. But yeah, that didn't look winnable, and still Genarog manages to pull it off. So
yeah, brilliant.
Good stuff.
And that's really what the blue team needed, you know, going down 2-0 there with the very potent stage counter picks of the red team would have been an incredibly rough position. But Genarog, very excellently played, clutches it out, brings it to one apiece, and now we are even Stevens. This is the stage counter pick of the reds, George Bell, but it was really close when they played on it. Pretty much all these games, for the most part, have been really close. And so you can't say it's too much advantage, you can't say that they're happy with how that game ended, and they're not really happy with how this game began either. Cone, lots of percent on him. The blue team looks relatively healthy, generally, and now we're kind of jockeying off stage. Not too much going on, but Cone sent high in the air. DonCascone is going to look for a back head, just misses out on that swing.
Yeah, nice drop down as well in order to avoid like any down strong shenanigans coming in from the Clarens as well. Like DonCascone, for the most part, is doing a decent job at weaving in and out of the Clarence range. Genarog unfortunately getting caught by the up tilt in this situation, and now trying to rain down arrows from above in order to maybe catch someone off guard. But yeah, that loss was just way too low in order to recover. But now he's kind of free to just swing the fair. I mean, until Cone sets up the Nair train, that is.
Yeah, Cone's playing it really aggressive, but DonCascone still managed to find a way to retrieve 10QuidShoes without stock. And now the Clarens are kind of just going to bat away this Loxodon and put this feet on the ledge as well. They kind of just want to play one game, keeping all of the stage control so that even if they do make it past, they can get some sort of significant punish. But DonCascone and Genarog do a good job of splitting them up, do a good job of finding their own spots, and now it's up to Clarens to bully them that little bit more, and tack on that percent while Fleet is recovering. And he does so. He doesn't just tack on the spin, he takes the whole stock.
Hey, he takes the stock. Unfortunately, like DonCascone was just not ready, and they had that a little bit wrong. But random up strong at the ledge, sure almost kills. But good save here from the teammate. Honestly, he's sending right back onto the stage. And now we're back to a separate 1v1 situation, but as 10QuidShoes was trying to go for the support, he gets caught by Genarog, and now he's in the bad position.
Genarog is putting a lot of percent and damage onto this team, when eventually just makes it so that DonCascone can send one back air 10QuidShoes ways and take him apart. Cone having to recover, side beam specifically to ledge over and over again, but he can't make it back. He doesn't snap quickly enough, and so he gets hit until he dies, and Cone loses the stock really quickly. And what was a not great start for the blue team, or a good start for the blue team, turns into an incredible start to the blue team. 3-1 starts. This is where I would truly say it has to be turns, right? There's just no way that 10QuidShoes on 71, 78% could do enough damage, take enough stock to bring this all the way back. And on their counter pick, the red team are struggling.
Yeah, and what it looks like to me as well is they just need one setup on the blue team at this point. I feel like the Lox would be the one to set up a kill for the Fleet for the most part, just because Fleet can also go and edgeguard Clarence pretty well, I would argue. So I'm kind of expecting potentially a position where, well, I guess raw back air would work, but what I was expecting for the most part was just DonCascone sending 10Quid off of the stage and setting up for like a fleet down air or something like that, or maybe just a drag down pair or something.
I was going to say, raw kill power,
and we're going to game for with the advantage on the blue team.
Raw kill power lies with Logs, so blue team have a plethora of ways set up. They can do an edge guard mode, like you said, or just as long as the Logs finds a back air or an up smash or an F smash somehow, everything will work out. And the red team have a lot of work to do. This is 2-1. It should have been 2-0, it feels like, and instead the blue team have managed to do a massive reversal of fortune, and it just really kept it consistent. They're both playing at a very consistent level. It feels like Cone, on the other hand, has had dips and peaks, where sometimes he's playing phenomenally, but sometimes he's just getting caught off guard a lot, and thinking he's pulled that back air, has to recover high here. Great parry from 10QuidShoes and manages to get the pressure off, and a great down strong. Managed to even up the stocks, but Cone is still bleeding here. He needs to find a stop on this fleet, as his teammate does, before things get out of hand.
I mean, that's the big thing as well. What I'm thinking is that the red team might be a little bit short on stamina, because you also gotta remember, like, game 9 can be really grueling in terms of stamina. It's really just a game of stamina at the end of the day, because whoever lasts the longest is going to win, and those doubles games tend to be a little bit longer as well than the singles one for the most part. So it's really all about stamina at the end of the day, and just making sure you still have a good synergy with your teammate. And right now it is looking like the stamina might be lacking a little bit on those DIs as well from the red team. It is looking a little bit tough. Nonetheless, anything's possible still.
Yeah, speaking of synergy, we've got stuff from DonCascone and Genarog, like Genarog sending a side B towards him, the tornado carrying Code, and then DonCascone parrying the tornado so it goes back and does another loop of damage. And it's just these little ideas and these little idiosyncrasies that are so beautiful about the way these two are playing the game right now as they mount a pretty impressive lead. Finally, the first stop is retrieved of that fleet, but it's 167. It's a massive percent differential, while 10QuidShoes is already down to his last, and Cone might follow sooner. 119 is a very easy percent to take a stop. He's trying to make sure that 10QuidShoes can stay alive on this last stop, but bad that DI on the back air means that 10QuidShoes is out of the game for a bit while Cone gets pressure on the side. Back air comes out, 136, 112. These are big percents. We could be seeing the end of this set. It could be a 3-1 to the blue team because they are just taking control right now.
I think that's the worst part of the set, is that as the red team's maybe DI and execution has been a little bit lower, meanwhile the blue team's synergy has only gotten better as we went on in the set. And now we have that 2v1 situation with 4 stocks, and it is really not looking too good for Cone. Even though Cone is an amazing player, he's not going to manage to get the ledge hog here. Like, it is still going to be 3 stocks that he needs to get back on in order to just stay alive in this bracket for his teammates. But yeah, cover it with the down strong and a little meatball for the snipe, potentially second meatball. No, we managed to get back on there. But yeah, we just go and grab that back air real quick, and it is going to be the blue team of DonCascone and Genarog securing the deal and securing victory in the doubles bracket for EU at Monthly of Aether.
Yes, hats off to your Monthly of Aether 7 doubles champions. In particular, that ending was crazy. Genarog cancelled the sort of hit pause that DonCascone was in from the up throw to let him get there with the back air, and that is just, like you said, it felt like even if the red team might have been losing steam, the blue team was just gaining more and more traction as it went on, and we saw new ideas and new concepts flourishing in the middle of a grand final set, and clearly they were comfortable, clearly they were just on the top of their game that one, and they were playing really well, and honestly, yeah, brilliant great play from them. And I believe both of them performing really well in the singles bracket so far as well. Genarog has made it into top 8, and in the loser side, and DonCascone in the winners with an upset from
I believe
Aether.
DonCascone is in the winner's side.